So welcome to How to Generate Traffic, Links and Money using Instant Article Wizard 4.0. So what we're going to do is answer the question, how do you generate traffic and links and money? We're going to show you a way of doing it manually if you wish to, and then we're going to show you, with your permission, a way to do it much faster and more easily using the power of Instant Article Wizard. So the webinar format is going to be how to create content. We're going to show you how to do that. You'll be able to do it manually if you want to. Then we're going to show you a demonstration of Instant Article Wizard. You'll see behind the scenes, you'll see how simple it is and how incredibly powerful. We're very, very proud of this particular version. It's an incredible tool and it can do so many different things for you. We're going to talk about those. I think you'll be pretty impressed. And of course, we'll give you an offer on pricing. So here's a question. Does anybody here not want to rank in Google? And I think we all want to rank, don't we? But if anybody doesn't, please tell me now, because I'd be interested. And the reason we want to rank, well, it's pretty simple, isn't it, really? It's obvious that we are all here to make some money one way or another, which is great. We want to make some money online. And to do that, well, it's pretty simple, really. You get your site content ranked in the search engines by publishing some quality content. And then you get some more visitors. If you get more visitors, you make some more money. It's simple. That's what everybody wants, right? It's that simple. And that includes you, right? That includes every one of us in reality. I mean, come on. Who does not want more visitors because they equal more signups to your subscriber list, more sales and more revenue? It's kind of the end goal of all the effort. So let's talk about Google for a few seconds. Google is an eating machine. They consume content and their appetite, literally no bounds. They're looking for an all-you-can-eat smorgasbord, right? The more they consume, though, the more money they make, and that's why they're doing it. So the search engine that they run, and this applies to the other search engines as well, has to be fed with content in order to give the searchers the answers they're looking for. But somebody else is providing the content for Google and Bing and so on. And that can be you. So let me tell you how you can provide that content. By the way, I apologize in advance. I've got a bit of a chest infection. So if I suddenly go quiet for a few seconds, it means I've muted because I need to take a sip of water or I might be coughing, which isn't a very pleasant sound to listen to. So if I do go mute for a few seconds, that's why. Don't worry, I'll come back. But just so you know, and I apologize in advance if we have any interruptions because of that. So creating content is really simple as a concept. It's pretty easy, really. Start with a blank page, right? It's that simple. Then all you have to do is choose some keywords, do a bit of keyword research for your particular topic. And for most people, this is pretty easy normally because you know your topic, you know the kind of main keywords and so on. And then next, you go into your search engine of choice. Google's the big one that we most of us use, but there are other search engines. You search for reference material for that particular keyword. And you're going to be looking for sites that contain information about those keywords. And of course, the more sites you can find, the better. I think it's quite funny. You can do this using Google. So the very thing that demands content from you and everybody else can also provide content for you to study and use as research. Now, what you will do is you'll go into each one of these sites that you find, have a look at the content, make some notes about the content. You're going to be learning as you go. And then when you've looked through 10, 20, 30 or 100 of them, you'll have assembled a degree of research material that will allow you to get a sense of the kind of topics you need to write about. So it's pretty straightforward. You're going to study your sources. And the more of them you can study, the better, because you get a rounded piece of content that is worth reading. That's important, right? So you read through the sources that you've identified, you pick out the best bits. Now, step 4 is where you create the content and publish it. And this is where you would edit and rewrite the material that you found. You're going to do that into your own words so you avoid plagiarism. So far, everything has been simple, but it does take time. When you're editing, you also want to make things kind of have a style, your own voice, as we say. And you want it to fit your target audience because otherwise it's not really going to gel with them. So you're looking to make your content work for the people most likely to be searching for it. And you're also going to try and put some of your own personality into it because otherwise, when they're reading your newsletters and your emails and so on, it won't fit. It will sound like somebody different. So that consistency of voice, of approach, whether you write very formally or you write informally and jokingly, that's something that's good to maintain. So you get a distinct personality. Before I show you step 5, I want to look at some incredible statistics, and these should make your eyes open wide. Now, Josh actually compiled these statistics earlier, and I want to show you these because they are slightly stunning, and they actually break a myth that many people will have said that, you write a 200-300 word article and you're good to go. No, not anymore. Let me show you why. So, what length of content do the search engines favor? So let me just show you over here with my mouse. So this is on position 1 of page 1, and the average content length for the sites that appear at the top of page 1 is about 2,500 words, give or take. The average length of content for position 2 on page 1 is about the same, and you can see that the lower the content, the lower down page 1 you appear. But even at position 10, you're looking at a 2,000 word article or thereabouts. Now that means that longer content is viewed as authoritative and more valuable, and the search engines know that people who produce a 200 word post are usually not really putting a great deal of effort into the quality of the article in general terms. There are exceptions, but in general terms, a couple of hundred words is probably not going to answer a search user's questions. And the search engines are trying to answer those questions with your content so that they can make some money by selling advertising. It's really that simple. So what does this mean? Well, it's very simple, really. If you want to rank, you've got to do what works. That's creating longer content. Let me show you another slide here.
Hey, Eamon.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before you go to the next one, and you may have this in the slides. If you do, I apologize.
Yeah.
I don't think you do. Another stat that I just recently pulled just earlier before the webinar that I thought was really astounding was that it says on average only 18% of companies' blog posts are 750 words or more.
Yeah, we've got that showing now. That's an interesting one. We're going to cover that in a second.
Yeah, okay.
That one's interesting, and I think people will, when we talk about it, they're going to be really impressed. So first off, 60% of content marketers, most of them in other words, say the biggest problem is creating engaging content. And that's true. And I think any of you who've written articles in the past know that it can be hard work. So if 60% of content marketers have the biggest challenge is just creating the content, the very thing that they're using to market, that's a problem, right? So anything that helps to solve that problem can give you an advantage over the crowd. Now over here, on average, only 18% of companies' blog posts are 750 words or more. I want to just explain that in different terms, because when we look at percentages, that can sometimes confuse the issue. What that means is that more than 4 out of every 5 articles online is a short article. Just let that sink in for a moment. More than 4 out of every 5 articles that exist on the web is a short article. Those of you who are savvy and switched on about this will realize that is a huge opportunity for you to steal viewers and rankings, because as we've seen, and we're going to see again in another slide, the search engines are favoring longer content. And that's because it's more authoritative, it's more likely to answer somebody's question. If you don't get an answer to a question, do you get frustrated? I do. Most people do. In fact, we know from webinars that we do that if we miss somebody's question, they keep repeating it, and they usually get more and more annoyed with us. Even if they know there are thousands of other questions ahead of them, people want an answer. If you're providing the answer, you're giving them a service, and that means you're more likely to get the next step, which is them clicking on something, buying something, signing up, and so on. So let's have a look at the next one. Again, this is to do with length of content. So posts that take about 7 minutes to read are the best for engaging readers. You get about 9 times more leads from a long form, in other words, long content post, than a short one. And here's the real one. There's a direct correlation between the length of the content and the number of people who will link to it. Now, getting links is one of the things that can help you to rank highly on the search engines. If extra long content is more likely to get those links. That means extra long content is more likely to get you ranked in the search engines from those links, as well as the fact that the search engines prefer longer content anyway. That's a double whammy. Okay. The shares and so on, I'll be honest with you, I'm not really a social media person. I don't care about Facebook and tweets, but the figures are there. You're more likely to get that type of share. And this is a share, again, it's a social signal. And social proof is important because if lots of people like what you're doing, that makes other people who come to you new feel a bit more relaxed. They kind of have a sense of the quality of your content by the fact that lots of people like it. And if you recall, McDonald's has done that in the past, where they have a sign that says 5 billion burgers served and so on. The hidden subtext, I beg your pardon, the hidden subtext is that they must be good if that many people like them. And the same is true of blog posts and content and so on. Here's another one for you. Google rewards sites with a higher dwell time. Dwell time is just how long somebody stays on your page. Long form content, so this is long articles, bigger articles, increases the dwelling time because it keeps people's attention. We're going to expand on that in a few minutes, but generally speaking, the longer form content keeps people a little bit more on the page. And longer content can also raise the click-through rate. In other words, signing up to your list or clicking on an affiliate offer or buying your own product. If long form content, the longer articles, increases the dwell time, and the dwell time is rewarded by Google, again, how simple is it to say we should all be publishing longer content? If anybody disagrees, let me know, because I would be astonished. If Google acts in a particular way and they reward certain things by putting people at the top of the search engines, we should model what other people are doing to get that benefit. And we're seeing that the longer content is the way to do that. Getting links from other people because we've got quality long content is one of the ways to do that. Getting social signals because of the quality of the content is one of the ways to do that. It's really that simple. We're going to look at step 5 now. And this is a nice one. No statistics here. You've heard this before, haven't you? Rinse and repeat. Okay, so let me just expand on that. Rinse and repeat. It's kind of like making a little content factory. It's a conveyor belt. You recycle, you rinse, you repeat, and so on. Every time you publish another article, you've got a new piece of web real estate. And that means the search engines can index that and rank it. But you've also got more content for your site viewers. So the more you can put out there, and I'm going to show you some revenue figures in a moment, the more you can put out there, the better. And that's fairly obvious and straightforward and very, very simple, isn't it? If you've got 10 times as much content, there's 10 times as much potential ranking, and depending on your keywords, 10 times or more the number of site visitors that you might generate. Because you can put out lots of content, there is a secondary benefit. The benefit is this. You can target multiple keywords, and you can target the keywords that are easier to rank for. If you target those keywords, and you're more likely to get on page 1, in total, the number of site visitors that you might generate is going to be higher than if you try an impossible keyword. It's a really simple philosophy. Go for the weak, low-hanging fruit, knock the weak kid off position 1, rinse and repeat. It's a content factory. It's a conveyor belt. By the way, I'm seeing lots of questions coming in. So, John, I know your audio's a problem, but if you get a chance to answer some of those questions, that we'll come to them again later. But if you could handle them at the moment.
Hey,
I'm seeing them on the question. They're on the question rather than the chat box.
Yeah, there's actually some sort of issue with GoToWebinar. They're not showing up for me. I'm not seeing anyone.
Really? They're showing for
and
me.
Maybe
Okay.
the same case for John.
Okay, we'll come back to the questions a little bit later because there's too many for me to handle right now, but I want to show you a couple of more things and then we'll pause for questions. There's some good questions. So content's king. Now, you've heard this before. I know you've heard it forever. Content is king. It always had been. And for most people, as we've just seen, for most people, you simply can't produce enough content to see the benefits of a kind of a regular publishing strategy. And that's because it's hard work, right? It's simple to do, but it's hard work to do it consistently without some kind of assistance or some kind of automation. And we've seen on the previous slides that the longer content is the secret to ranking your sites and engaging your visitors. Now, Josh, I know you wanted to talk about the type of quality that you can generate and the benefits of sort of authoritative content and so on.
Yeah. So, getting content isn't necessarily all that difficult. There's a lot of content that you can get your hands on. And so what causes people to make more money, which is what we're all after, that's what we do this for, is to make money, is getting the right content out there. And so there are several different options out there to get your hands on, get a hold of content. But the question is, what is that content going to do for you? Instant Article Wizard 4.0 was designed to allow people to create the absolute best kind of content. And the absolute best kind of content is authoritative, quality content. Not just quality, when we use the word quality, you can use that in different ways. Quality in terms of SEO, sure, great. Content that can rank in Google, that's great. Quality that will drive sales, so there's different levels of quality depending on what you're talking about. Well, what we're talking about here is quality as far as authority, really in every way that you can possibly consider quality. That's what Instant Article Wizard produces. And so when we're talking about authoritative content, we're talking about content that you can go into it not knowing a thing about it. I use the example of a certain type of diet, keto diet. I don't know a whole lot about it. I know a little bit, but I'm nowhere near an expert. Well, I can get into Instant Article Wizard 4.0 and I can create a highly authoritative article that anyone on the planet would agree, this is authority, this is true, this is good stuff, and I can produce a unique article from that. And so that's the kind of content we're talking about.
Yeah, it's important to understand that even if you don't know anything, you're doing research first. That's one of the first jobs you would do, as I showed you earlier when you do your keyword research, and you're looking at the information that is out there. Now, you could go into a library and pick up a book and do the research that way, but of course, it's easy to do these things online these days, where you can sit at your computer, hit a few keys and so on. But let's talk about the type of content that you can produce. Look, traditionally, in the past, web content was just text articles, because that's all the web could cope with. But users want more now. They're demanding more because the web can do more. They want what we call media-rich content. So that's basically articles with images and videos, and even a simple video is great for getting attention, and audio as well. So those things are what we call media-rich content. And in some cases, you might put everything on the same page. You might have a piece of text, you might have an audio version, you might have a video, so that the people who like videos can watch the video, those who like to read can read, those who like to download a podcast can do that and listen to the car. My brother, for example, loves podcasts in his car. He drives around all day. That's his job. So he's got a lot of time in the car. He doesn't have time for reading. I would miss out with him as a potential customer if all I provided was text. That kind of demand is increasing. People want more and they expect more. Now, if you've got existing content, you can refresh old content by turning it into a different type, and you can also do that within Instant Article Wizard. This is an image to show you what Josh did recently. He took a basic blog post that he had. It was an older post, and he created a really simple video for it, put it onto his YouTube channel. I want to zoom in just so you can see a little bit more, but you can see some numbers here for that video. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because the numbers are kind of astonishing. So he's just shown us an updated figure earlier today. Look at the spike here. I mean, can you see how this has spiked? So 104,000 views, but that number here is 8,500 hours of viewing. Now that's insane. Josh, what's the story behind this?
Yeah, this is an article that I had published a little while back, and I was looking at the site, and it's a personal site. It's a religious in nature, and I wanted to see how I could get more traffic to the site. And so I thought, you know what, I have this one particular article I really wanted to get a lot of eyeballs on. And I thought, how can I get more eyeballs on this content? And so I thought, I have an excellent video script because I have this unique article that I've published here, and this article has just been sitting here. It hasn't gotten a whole lot of views. And so I thought, I'm just going to use this text. I'm going to create a video. So I did that. I published it to YouTube, and then I embedded the video on the blog post. Ever since I did that, the traffic spiked, and you can see it was a gradual increase, but even at the bottom there, it was a noticeable increase right away. And so, I mean, I just took content that I had already written that was just sitting there doing nothing, turned it into a video, and it produced, all this. And you can see what it's ended up at, and it continues to go up. I can't even keep up with the comments. There's tons of comments that I can't keep up with. There's just too many.
Josh took an old article that was sitting there doing nothing and repurposed it and turned it into a new type of content that has skyrocketed his views and traffic and so on. The important and critical thing to understand, though, is that the article was a good article to begin with. He didn't create a video out of nothing. He took an article that he'd created previously and then repurposed it into a new type of content. So you've got to start with the article. You've got to start with the quality of the information. But once you've done that, you can then get multiple benefits by video, by audio for podcasts. You can translate into different languages if you want to, and so on. And of course, you can do that manually. It's not a problem. You can do all of this manually. You don't need a tool to do this. The tools help you to do it quickly, more easily, with less effort. But you can do all of this manually. It's going to take you a lot of time to do it often enough to get out lots and lots of posts on them. We're talking about the figures again a little bit later. Let me talk about another type of content that is based around words. And you start with articles, and those are written down words. What kind of content are you watching right now? Well, look, people absolutely love webinars. When we run a webinar, we get a ton of people on. You're the proof. You're here. You're the very proof. Webinars, essentially, if you look at them, is somebody reading out a bit of text to you. I mean, I said to you, what kind of content are you watching right now? That's words on the screen. But by reading them to you or discussing them with you, it adds a new dimension. But to start with, I've got to have some slides with words on, haven't I? If I had a blank screen here, nobody would stick around. So we're giving you some visuals, we're giving you some text, we're giving you some audio, you're listening to me. Webinars are great. Now, in the private training that we're going to be giving for Instant Article Wizard 4, we're going to cover how to turn your articles into webinars. And that's an absolutely wonderful way to create something called an evergreen funnel, because you kind of do the work once, and then you can reuse it time and time again. And if you do it right, it's a powerful way of multiplying yourself. It's almost like you can have 7 versions of yourself every day of the week running at different times, reaching people you could not reach yourself manually live because you simply don't have enough hours in the day. We're going to do that in the training sessions, which is going to be in a week or 2. And we'll talk about turning them into PowerPoint slides as well and things like that. So what you need, really, the solution to the problem of producing enough content is a simple one. You need a time multiplier. You need more hours in the day. Well, they don't exist today. We've only got 24 hours a day, the same as the richest people on the planet. You know, the richest man on the planet has the same number of hours as me and you, which means we could theoretically do as much as they do. But you can only do so much manually, right? And that's why we have cars, for example. I mean, look, they tend to get us from A to B faster than walking, usually, you know. So we have a tool, a machine that multiplies our time. I can make a 100-mile journey in, depending on the speed limit and where you live, anything from 90 minutes to a couple of hours. If I were to walk that, it would probably take me a day and a half and I'd be very poorly. So automation and machines and tools of this nature can give you a time multiplying effect. If you can take a 1-hour session and produce 6 hours worth of content, that's like having 6 of you. That's 6 people's work. So that's simple, right? Real simple. But we're going to see how simple now, because I'm going to show you a demonstration right now of Instant Article Wizard. But before I do, I just want to cover some of the questions, because I know you've got a lot of questions here. So let's have a look. Mark suggested for my throat I should have a drink, which we'll do after the webinar. Thanks for that. Have I started recording? Yes, Denny, it is. James is asking a question, which is a good question. And when we start looking at this demo in a moment, you'll sort of see that. Will all keyword searches bring in enough quality content that can be used in a long article? And the answer is no. because some keywords may not have a great deal of content. If you're choosing good quality keywords, then yes, you're likely to get more content than you can use. And I'll show you some of that in a moment. Bear in mind that when you look at research material and repurpose it and edit it, you can put things into your own words. And so if you get a sentence of 10 words, by the time you've rewritten it, you might have 15 or 20 words. And when you do that with every sentence and so on, you could end up with an article that's way longer than you expected from the research that you've done. So the keyword searches do make a big difference. You're quite right, James. Den was saying it's a great problem to have lots of traffic and spikes. Yep, absolutely. Leslie is asking, okay, can Instant Article Wizard work with Instant Video Wizard so you can use your own voice on videos that you make from articles? There's a couple of different ways to do it, Leslie. It doesn't. You can download a video. I'll show you videos in a moment, but you can download a video from Instant Article Wizard and then edit it in something like Camtasia or one of the free editors and put your voice on if you wanted. But the voices that are available, and I'll show you them, they're great, to be honest. They're pretty good. So you could, change it to do your own voiceover if you want to. Michael's asking, can we give an indication of how much you can charge for a high quality article? Actually, that's coming up later. So I'm glad you asked that, Michael. Okay, Paul wants it quickly. We're going to get to the demo, Paul, but I've got to cover this information first. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Is there a tutorial? Yes, there is. Ralph's asking if you can give access to a virtual assistant. Yeah, we're going to cover that as well, Ralph, in a few minutes. Okay, so let me actually open the right window. There we go. So this is what you're going to see. This is the Instant Article Wizard interface. So we have projects where we do research, and then when we've got the research done, we can create articles. Now, to create a project, I've done one here as an example. In fact, let me show you it. So I've done one for ketogenic diet, and we got 467 results for that. I can add more keywords if I want to expand on that, but that's a lot of results. If I click on this here, I can see the research and start having a look at what I want to use in my own article. So let me just create a new article and show you what you would see. So I've got keywords that have been automatically parsed out, separated out for me from the research that has been assembled. In the middle here, I've got the research itself, and then I've got the article window, which is not showing, by the way. I know some people have had this issue with Macs because the browser window is a bit small. So if I zoom out, we'll see the window. Let me just do that again. So if you need to zoom out, as I've just done, then you see your window. Depends on your monitor size. So when I'm looking at the content here, all I'm going to do essentially is look at the ones that I'm interested in. So that one, for example, I would like to know that acne is a side effect. I can just add that into my article, scroll my way down. Okay, that's interesting to know about vegetables. Okay, so we'll add that in. And we work our way down. That one's another one because I think it's important with medical issues to tell people about side effects. You're going to work your way through the research that you've assembled. Then you're going to edit here in this editor window. This is a full editor, okay? So you can add, change, modify. You've got formatting, so let's just put bold there and so on. You've got a full editor. You also have the ability to insert images, and you can do a search for images. So I'm just going to put acne and see if we've got anything for that. No, okay. So let's have a look at weight loss and see what, in fact, let's put the word diet and see what we get there, just out of interest. Okay, that looks interesting to me. I'm going to add that in. So I've added in images. Let's make that a little bit smaller. There we go. And so on. You work your way through the research. You add the bits you like. You edit. You add images. If you want to, you can add YouTube videos. And you can do a search for YouTube videos. So if I put weight loss, any YouTube, yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify the images. You can wrap them and make them any way you want. You kind of in the center there didn't look quite right. Just want to make that clear.
No, that's right. Well, because I've resized the window, when I click on here, normally you would see an option to modify the alignment. but because I've made the window rather small, I'm not seeing it. But that's all that is. So YouTube videos, if you want to, and as I said, you can do a search there, and if we do weight loss, you can see any that are related to weight loss. You can preview them, insert them, and so on, change the size. In other words, you can create a media-rich article. Now, because you're going to edit this material, and you have to, you should edit the material. It's going to be in your voice, it's going to be unique, and you can make it as high quality and as long as you want. You just keep adding more content. So let's have a look. Type 2, that's an interesting one. Type 2 diabetes. Yep, I would like that. Okay. Dry mouth, that's something to know about. Okay. This is related to ketogenic and insulin resistance. That might be a little bit more technical than you'd want, but you know, let's have a look, see if there's any others. Yep, there's another. And so you're just working your way down. Now, when I said to you earlier that when you edit these, let me just make a bit of space so I can see. You're going to edit these, first of all, to make them your own, so that you can use them any way you like. And we'll talk about that in a moment or two, including how to sell them. But you can also expand on the idea. Acne is another condition that can be treated with a ketogenic diet. Okay, so what do we know about acne just from our own common sense? If you've ever had acne, you'll be delighted to hear that. Now look, what I've done there, I've just doubled the length of the content with an extremely simple addition that is related to the content that I've assembled. And it's only a very generic thing that, you know, you'll be happy that you can treat acne this way, but it expands the article. Anybody who's reading this who has acne will be interested to learn that this can help. They'll also be reassured that, you know, it's going to make them happier because the acne will go and so on. I can also hide content that I don't like. So let's have a look. There was one I didn't like a moment ago. Yeah, I'm not bothered about the wedding cake personally, so I'm just going to hide this. So if you see content that you don't want to look at again, you know, just hide it. But essentially, all we're going to do is work our way through that assembled content. And that assembled research material is going to stay in the project for me. So if I want to come back and do a new article next week, I already have the research sitting there. I don't need to do a new research. So we can make multiple articles from one set of research material. Okay, so I'm just going to click on save. And remember, this isn't a full training. This is just to show you. Let me just refresh the page so you can see. This is just to show you. I forgot to put an article title, by the way. This is just to show you a quick look behind the scenes. Now, I've got an article, a basic article. Let's assume that I've written through it and changed the text and so on. Rather than watch me do that, which is like watching paint dry, just assume that I've finished the editing. I can download to my computer to do with as I please. Okay, so I've got a saved copy on my computer, but I can also, if I want to, upload it to my blog. Now, if you've added a blog in here with your password and so on, you can add as many as you like. You can post this to as many blogs as you like, and it will do the posting for you with a couple of clicks. You select your blog. I've only got one example one. You choose the category for that blog, so I would say weight loss. Choose whether you want it published or draft. Click on post to blog, and it will appear on your blog like magic. That will save you a ton of time. So you can publish your content from within the interface. The second you've finished your article, one click, it's on your blog. You can also translate into any of the 14 or 15 languages that we see here. So I'll do German just for fun. Let me show you how quickly it will translate that article. So let's say, yes, it's 312 words. It's done. That is now translated into German. You could actually put a foreign language version of each of those 14 languages on your blog, and you would attract more visitors in total, because those who only speak German or French or Italian or Spanish and so on would have an article they can now read. Go ahead.
Eamon, two things
Please.
about that translation I wanted to say quickly.
Yes.
This translation technology has come a long way just in the past couple of years. We're using the most advanced technology there is out there. These translations are really, really good. My wife's German, native German, and she reads some of these translations, and they're really, really good. And second, talk about maximizing your traffic potential with your content. So, I was talking about that article I had just sitting there, turned it into a video, got all that traffic and exposure. Taking your articles, turning them into videos, submitting the audios also, because Eamon's gonna talk about the audio as well, submitting that to podcast services, translating. I mean, these all just take one piece of content and absolutely get the most out of it. You maximize your potential. And if you do that, I highly, highly, highly recommend you do that, especially for your prize pieces. We all have articles that we just, really are proud of. Especially for those, but for all of them, you'll really maximize your potential. You don't want to leave money on the table.
And to do that requires publishing more of your content in different ways, which again multiplies the time it normally takes you. But with Instant Article Wizard, it actually is a time multiplier. So in the time that it would take you to do one thing, you can do 5. And this is one of the big benefits, of course, because if you publish that much content, then you're going to get all the benefits of that much content. So we've got the translation here, which is a couple of clicks. Look, we did German. Let's do French. And, we'll show you that one. I'm going to show you this one in a second. So I'm going to save file. And then we're going to, let me just open it. Just bear with me while I open that, because I'm going to open a window to look at it. So I'm just in a separate monitor here, so just bear with me while I get to my download and actually open that document. French, okay. Let me just open this so you can see it. So anybody who speaks French will recognize this. So, by the way, I didn't actually change much on the article because that was just for saving time. I was just showing you where you would change it. If I'd edited the full article, then it would translate what I'd written. So acne is another condition which can be treated with the ketogenic regime. If you have already had acne, you will, whatever that means. I only speak a little bit of French. So you can see the quality of the translation is pretty good. It is AI. It's not a human who's doing this. That would cost you a fortune, but it's really good. And it's more than good enough for those native speakers to enjoy that content. So you could have 14 different versions of your article in different languages. So you've now multiplied your article by 14 times. 14 times. Great. What about audio? Now, audio can be used for podcasts. It can also be used for your blog post. You can embed it in a blog post if you want. Tons of voices to choose from, as you can see here. Matthew is probably the one I like, but Joanna's pretty good as well. Let's see how quick that article can be turned into audio for podcasting and so on. So this is converting it into MP3, and there it is. It's done. So I'm going to save that file. So again, I could create the audio with one click and a few seconds. I could create it in multiple voices. Now, why would you want to do that? I'm going to give you some ideas here. One of the reasons you might want to use different voices is for your target audience to feel more comfortable. So if you have a website that is focused very much on women's health, for example, it may make more sense to use one of the female voices on that website. If you have a very male-focused muscle building for men over 50, for example, Michael Bennett's on the call, that was one of his websites that he created, and it was very male-focused. It would make more sense generally to have a man's voice. So having multiple voices in this way means that you can target your audience more precisely. Now think about what that means. That means they're going to feel more comfortable with the content. And if they feel more comfortable with the content, they're going to stick around longer. If they stick around longer, do you remember what we saw on the slide? Google rewards the websites where people stick around longer. So you start to get all these things feeding into each other and having a cumulative effect on your rankings and site visitors. Yeah, okay. So that's the audio. Now we can create a video. I'm actually going to edit the article just very briefly because I really don't want to create a massive article. So let me just take that out. For the purpose of showing you this, because it's going to take a little bit of time to create the video, I'm making it very simple. Okay, so let me just make sure my spacing is right. There we go. And I'll save that. And I'm going to create the article. It's a one-click solution. I can choose the same, you know, the voices I want. I can choose the fonts I want and all this kind of thing. You can choose the type of video you get. You can preview the type of video and so on. So you can actually see the style and that kind of a thing. So I think classic is probably the one we want to use for this, isn't it, Josh? If I remember rightly. No, it wasn't, was it?
But there's a couple different options in there.
Words fade in, sorry, yeah. So I would normally recommend using the words fade in. And this is just a preview, but this is kind of what it's going to look like when you actually do your video. I'm not going to bother with music for this one. Go ahead.
Do you remember the stats we ran a while ago? We ran some stats. We actually, John actually, I think he
on video, yeah,
script and pulled some stats, and I wish I could remember the numbers, but it was an amazing number of, it was something like 80 million views from the top videos in YouTube were planner
they
videos,
were all
just like that.
Simple videos, and the point about this is, John's just sent a message that the language translation alone opens up your content to billions with a B, of extra people who would not be able to access that content and understand it in the past. That in itself is huge. Then you look at video, and by the way, next year and the year after, the predictions are that 80% or thereabouts of web traffic will be driven by video. So I'm not choosing music for this. I just want to do this very quickly for you to show you. So I'm going to, yes, you can do a square video. I've been asked, who asked me that? Yes, Ken, you can. You can choose square videos. So I'm going to create the video. And it's going to cost me 1 credit because there's only a few words. And you can see the price for the credits every time you do a job. So this is queued for production. I can move away from here now. I can do other jobs. When I come back, when it's finished, I'll be able to access the video. So we'll come back to that in a minute or two. I'm going to take some questions in a moment because I can see a long list of them. We're not ignoring you, I promise you, but we're going to take the questions in a moment. But in essence, what we're showing you is the time multiplication effect, because when you've edited the article, and somebody said earlier, that's the hardest part. You're absolutely right. Imagine how hard it is to start with a blank page. What we have here is something that doesn't start with a blank page. You have research material, which will give you ideas as well as content that you can then edit. But the second you've finished editing that content, you can translate it into 14 different versions, which is the languages. You can create a podcast, which is the audio, and then you can create a video. You can publish it to one blog with a click, or you can publish it to multiple blogs. Now, look, just those of you who are sending me messages that you're angry that we haven't told you the price, just be patient. We're going to tell you that in a moment. And you know, I've got to show you this before we talk about the pricing. Just be patient for a few minutes. We're going to get to that because we're going to show you that in a few minutes. But I want to show you the power of the tool, because content publication is what it's about. If you publish content on a regular basis, you get more web real estate. If you publish it in different formats, you get more web real estate, and you have more people who can then see it, view it, and enjoy it. So you're multiplying any effort you spend. If you spend a full hour editing an article, that sounds like a long time, but you can then have 14 articles in different languages. You can have a video and audio with a couple of clicks, as you've seen there.
And that would be a very long period of time to create an article within this Article Wizard.
No, and can you imagine the cost of having it translated?
Yeah, and I would imagine, I would just assume that most of the people who are with us today watching, their average length of article is probably maybe somewhere around that 500 to 700. I think it was 750 that the average, maybe even below average. And so if you imagine just using Instant Article Wizard to create a much longer article, you're going to create it in probably less time than you took to write those shorter articles. And then you use that longer article, which is going to multiply your chances to get more backlinks, going to multiply your chances to get to the top 10 of Google. And then you take that same article, which has already multiplied the opportunities as opposed to articles you were writing, and you convert it to video, and then you convert it to audio, you post it to your blog, and it's just amazing whenever you consider and you look back at what you were doing as opposed to what you are doing, and you
Yeah.
think of the potential, and then you start to see the numbers, then you start to see the traffic coming in. It's just absolutely amazing.
It really is. Now, I'm going to take questions while that video's being created for me, automatically, by the way. And I'm going to take them in reverse order simply because it's easier for the scrolling. So Cheryl's asking, if you translate an article, would you use it on a .com or a .net, or would it need to be for the country domain like .de for Germany? And the point really that Cheryl is asking is, would you still get some visitors if you put it on kind of the wrong country domain? And yes, actually, you will do, Cheryl, because in webinars in the past, when we've done keyword research webinars, one of the interesting things we find is that a site that ranks in one country will very often rank in other countries, especially for that low-hanging fruit type of keyword. Because if Google doesn't have something better to show the site visitor, they've got to pull content from somewhere. They do not want to say to people, we can't find anything. So you'll often find that will happen. I mean, for the really competitive keywords, that's a bit different, as you'll understand. But essentially, you could get multiple rankings in different countries just by having that quality of
if Google, if they only showed content from, to Deutsch, German, for example, German keywords, if they only showed results from .de, man, they'd be in trouble. People would be switching to Bing like crazy. So you don't have to worry about that.
Ralph's asking if we have an affiliate program. We do. So anybody who wants to make money promoting it, please get in touch with Josh. It's a great tool for promotion. We're getting great conversion rates with it because it solves the problem that everybody has. Everybody who has a website needs content. That's without question. Everybody. And nobody has enough time in the day to make as much content as they really need to make. Leslie's asking, an article of 2,500 words might be one credit, but if you want to embed several images in a video, okay. So this is a credit question. Let me answer that question for you. A keyword in the research job, in the projects here, is 1 credit. So if you do 2 keywords, that's 2 credits. Now, a conservative estimate for the number of articles you can create with that number of credits, 2 credits, anything from 10, 20, up to 40 articles, because you'll get a lot of research. There are some keywords that may not give a tremendous amount back, but they're odd keywords. But for the regular keywords that we all use, you're going to get a lot of results. So a couple of credits, if it gets you even 10 articles, that's a lot. But if you can get 20 or 40, that's a huge amount. Now, images and YouTube videos that you embed into the article have no cost. The images, there's about 80,000 of them. They're known as CC0, fancy term. Let me tell you what it means. It means you don't pay for them. That's it. That's all it means. It's a fancy term. So about 80,000 of those. The YouTube videos, any of them that is actually allowed to be embedded, all of these things you can just put into the article at no extra cost. Now, if you create a video, it depends on the number of words. If you create an audio, it depends on the number of words and so on. And when you go to do those things, let me go back into the article here. Let me just show you what I mean. So if I do, for example, a translation, let's say Italian this time, before you are committed, it will tell you how many credits you're using. And it's done on the basis of per 500 words for, I'm trying to remember, Josh, which is the 500 and which is the 100, but it shows you on screen before you are committed. So if you're doing a video, and I think Leslie has got this point based on what he said, I wouldn't do a 2,000 word article because that's a massive video. It's a massive video. For the videos, a simpler article is fine. Now, Mark's asking about backlinks. We're going to talk about those again in a minute, because one of the things you can do with this, if you use Contact Scraper, for example, which is one of our other tools, where you can reach out to people and offer them articles in exchange for links. Traditionally, what people have done is pay for those articles. And we'll talk about costs of those in a minute. You can create these articles now yourself to get a backlink, and a backlink from another website. It said so on the slide I showed you. A backlink from other websites helps you to rank in the search engines, and particularly if you have a good quality article, you're more likely to get a backlink anyway. But you can also do this, in offering it to potential website colleagues. So you can offer an article in exchange for a link back to your website. So No, you don't have to pay to get backlinks. You can, well, in inverted commas, you can pay by offering an article, or you can just let them naturally occur. Okay. So let's have a look at the next one. Can we caption the pictures with keywords for extra search engine information? Not directly, no, as far as I'm aware in the editor. But if you publish it to your blog, you can do it then. So once it goes onto your blog, you can make as many changes as you want. So let me just scroll back a little bit more because there's a lot of questions here. If I haven't got to your question yet, please give me a few minutes. We're going to get to them as soon as we can. And I'm trying to make sure we hit the 1 hour mark and not go over. Okay, so for link building content, Alex is asking, can we just create the research article without any editing and then spin it using the best spinner and use this content for link building? Alex, the answer is yes, you can. I don't recommend it. For link building content, I recommend quality, and Josh has mentioned that previously. You want to be giving good content for link building. Links are so important for getting ranking. Why would you want to give anything other than your best? It's a false economy. And by the way, if you download the article, I haven't mentioned this yet, but look at this. You can get an HTML version, you can get a plain text version, you can get a spun HTML, and you can get spun text. All those options are built in, and they are no additional credits. So
and there's nothing. Hey, Eamon, I wanted to just mention there's nothing wrong with spinning that research. You want to make it original. You don't want to, you certainly don't want to just copy, but use that spun option, and you can go in. And first off, it's going through the best spinner API, and the best spinner is the best spinner. If we do say so ourselves, but it truly is. We compare the competition. It's the best. It has the best thesaurus and everything. And so, but if you do read through it, it's not perfect. So if you do read through it and if something doesn't sound quite right, go through and make, tweak it here and there, and you will have an awesome, unique, 100% unique article.
Yeah. We've got a question, by the way, and I'm going to throw John a curveball that he didn't expect, but it's public. So there you go. The question is, can you preview the voices before you choose them? Right now, no. But you know what? We're going to make John add that in because that is a great suggestion and it would help you in choosing the voice that most suits your purposes. So we're going to put that in.
And by the way,
he's going to be calling me late to complain, but there we go. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
By the way, in the same way that I spoke of the translations, the text-to-speech technology has really gained leaps and bounds over the past just year or two, really. And some of the text-to-speech are really, really good. Some of them, some might say, have a little bit of a robot speech to them, but even those are awesome. You see views of videos on YouTube with tens of millions of views. Nobody cares, but some of them really are just awesome. So, and especially in non-English, there's some in the English language. I think Matthew's really good in the English language. The German one, my wife literally could not tell it was text-to-speech. She really didn't. I said, seriously, you're just saying that? She said, no, I thought it was a person. So they're really high quality.
It really is that good. Now look, here's the video. It's created. Okay, you probably won't be able to hear it, but it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Okay, now I can download it to my computer, which means I could sell it to somebody else if I want, by the way. We'll talk about that in a moment. I can upload to YouTube. Watch how easy it is to upload to YouTube if you've given permission on your channel. Watch, it's this simple. I've got a channel here. I click on this icon. Then I choose things like, the text that I want to put in there, the description, sample video only. I can put my title, weight loss, ketogenic, or whatever it might be. And then when I click this button here, it will upload it to YouTube for me, and it will give me the link so that I can embed it into my article if I want to, or use it anywhere else I choose. That's how quick and easy it is. I'm not going to do it, but that's how quick and easy it is to create a video and then upload it to YouTube. Now, by the way, uploading to YouTube does not use credits either. Okay, so a lot of the things that you can do in here don't use any credits. So we're going to put in the previews for the voices. So we're going to do that. But that's a video, a simple explainer video that can be on my YouTube channel in a couple of clicks. Now, just before we get to the pricing, and I want to go to that in a second, John has corrected us. When we talked about the top how-to videos in YouTube, the top 250 videos, the collective views were something in the region of 7 billion views. Billion with a B, not million. We said 80 million. Josh and I were wrong. It was over 7 billion views on 250 top videos that were simple explainer videos. Many of those had robotic computer voices. Many of them were pretty poor in terms of the content. You can do better.
Some of them were horrible, Eamon.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was
remember
trying
looking
to be
at them.
kind.
Some of them were absolutely horrible, and they were just getting millions and millions of views.
Now we're going to move on to the price because I'm getting told off again, Josh. People tell me off when we don't tell them how to get it immediately. It's quite funny. So look, I'm just going to freeze the screen for a second and then show you another slide. So look, you can do this yourself or you can pay others to do it. I'm going to talk about pricing for articles right now. Okay. A high quality article only costs about $20 or $30. If you publish one a day, it's about $210 a week. Yeah, that's nothing, is it? Really? $210 a week. A good quality long article, easily $20 to $30. So paying others, I'm going to be honest with you, for most people, that's not realistic because if you did one article a day, this time next year, you're going to have spent $7,300. It's a lot of money. In a moment, I'm going to turn that on its head for you and show you how you can make that instead. Very quickly, let me give you some of the feedback we've had from people who use this. So Don Kramer, tremendous upgrade, more flexibility. It's already helped him in his business and he's only had it a few days. Now, excuse me, I just must take a sip of water. I beg your pardon. I apologize for that. So the next one is from Meg Lerner. She loves this, and she's actually said that she's already created 2 long authoritative articles, which is great, 2 audio MP3s and 2 videos, and she's uploaded them to YouTube. No sweat, it was easy. And she's created a series of quotes. Now she's going to put these on mugs and tweets and blog posts and autoresponders. So there are multiple ways you can use this content, and that's a great way to do it. So mugs that you put quotes on, you can sell those, can't you? So that's a physical product. Tweets can get you fans, blog posts get you visitors, and autoresponders gives your existing subscribers something to read. And she said she can schedule those ahead for some months, okay? And she's also translated them into another language. She continues to say she's very happy with the way we're doing this. This is credit-based, which means you don't have to pay monthly. You buy a batch of credits and then you use them and then buy some more if you need them. You purchase them when you need them. And because she tends to do things in batches, she uses the tool for a while and then goes away and comes back to it later. So this kind of pay-as-you-go version is useful. And that's one of the great benefits of Instant Article Wizard video version 4. We've actually gone to a credit system so that you're not paying every month, which is the great news. Leslie, who's on the call, my initial thoughts about Instant Article Wizard, simply brilliant, or rather brilliant simplicity. He then actually emailed me later to say, it's a pleasure to use. There's clearly a ton of complex coding behind it, but it's a simple tool to use, right? And he likes that we can produce multiple formats because these are a way to increase how much output you have for the same time. That's absolutely huge. And then being able to post automatically, that's great. And then he talks about the elephant in the room, which is saving time. And as he makes the point here, if it saves you 20 hours for each hour you spend, that is really time multiplication. And his final comment, beat that if you can at the price this software is being offered for. Look, you've got to take action today to benefit tomorrow. You know this, it's obvious, right? If you do nothing, you get nothing. I want to show you something that Google sent me today, and this kind of says it all because this is really good. Get ready for the holidays. Historically, we see revenues per 1,000 page views and traffic growing significantly. This is an AdSense email. Let me zoom in. Now I've hidden the actual figures, but look at this. At this time of year, the impressions increased by 41%, the revenue per 1,000. The number of impressions at this time of year increased by about 26%. This is for me. And the revenue at this time of year increases nearly 80%. Now just think about what that means. What that means is The impressions are only going up a little bit, 26%, which means 26% more people are seeing them, but 3.5 times as much revenue compared to the impressions. I'm getting more money off every site visitor. Now, the only way I can do that even more is by having more content, right? I've just zoomed in for you there. So let's just have a look at those stats. 26% impression increase, 41% revenue per thousand, and 79% overall revenue increase at this time of year. The seasonal page revenues are growing. If you have more pages, you're going to have more visitors. I mean, just think about that for a moment. If you have more web real estate, you will automatically get more visitors at this time of year anyway. And if you get more revenue than the visitors increase as well, then you start to see significant increases at this time of year.
And
Let me tell you what, go ahead, yeah.
Just really fast, I know we're crunched for time, but really fast. The AdSense network is a content and ad network. So
Yes.
I just want to make that clear. That's why this is so relevant, because we're talking about content sites. And
Yes.
so the ads on these content sites, not just e-commerce, but content sites, are that's what he's talking about here in those stats.
And you know, who would like to get an 80% increase in revenue at this time next year? All the hands are up right now, okay? Who doesn't want 80% increase? That's great. You kind of get that automatically at this time of year anyway. But let me ask you this, supposing you had 50 times as much content to benefit from that extra revenue. What you get with Instant Article Wizard is one-click research, which collates all the content from thousands of pages on the web for you. You can find and insert YouTube videos and over 80,000 images that are free to use. It's a couple of clicks, right? You can create audio files, I've just shown you. You can translate your article into 14 major languages, multiply your reach into billions of other people who are in foreign marketplaces that you're not reaching right now. You can convert your articles into explainer videos. I showed you a very quick one there. One-click upload to your YouTube channel. Well, you do need a YouTube channel, of course, but a one-click upload. Then you can publish a fully formatted article. You can add in a video YouTube embed code if you want to. You can format it and put it onto any of your blogs or all of them, okay? You can reuse the research material to create new articles, and you're multiplying your time every time. You can create webinars from this. Part of the training we're going to give you, everybody who buys Instant Article Wizard is going to be automatically registered for that training. The private training will take place in a couple of weeks, as well as all the other things I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you about creating webinars with the articles you create. And webinars have a massive value to the average audience member. People love webinars. They're great for selling. They're great for teaching. Fantastic to do if you have the content. Let me talk about the pricing because we've been asked about it multiple times.
And real fast, Damon.
Yes.
That list of things that you just now said that Instant Article Wizard will do, what it comes down to, the end result of all of it is that it will make you more money. That's what it's all about. That's why we created it, and that's what it'll do for you.
I'm begging everybody's indulgence for an extra 5 minutes while I go through what you can do, because I'm going to talk about making money in a minute or two. So the standard is $97. It gives you 250 credits. Remember, a keyword gives you a credit. You get 400, 500, 600 pages of results. You're going to be able to make easily 10 or 20 articles from that. You've got 250 credits here. The premium gives you 500 credits, so that's double, and it's $147. The Pro, which is the best value, is $497, and you're getting 2,500 credits, which is 5 times the premium. And the Pro value is also available on split pay, so you can spread that over 3 months if you want to. Now, you don't have a subscription with this. You don't pay an ongoing monthly. You buy the credits. When you've run out of them, you can buy some more. But it will take you quite some time to go through those credits, because if you're using a keyword to generate your research material, and even at the lowest level, you're getting 250 keywords, that's a lot of articles. And if you're getting 10 articles out of a keyword, you could be looking at 2,500 articles, maybe even as high as 5,000 articles, depending on your niche, for 250 credits. I'm going to ask Josh a question. How much extra is it for a license to sell this article to paying clients?
Zero. None at all.
Not a cent. Zip, nada, nothing. I just want to remind you of something I said earlier. If you publish one article a day, and you pay for them, $20, $30. Guess what? People are buying those. There's no reason you couldn't sell one article a day. And if you're charging $20 an article, this time next year for 365 articles, you could have made $7,300. If you're selling a long article at $30, then you're looking at something in the region of $10,950 for one article a day. People are buying these articles. There's no reason you can't sell them. And you can sell batches of them, or you can sell individual ones and so on. So you remember how much it would cost you if you wanted to buy an article. So you automatically get what we call an agency or commercial license. You can sell these to anybody you like. An earlier question we had was, can you allow your virtual assistant to use this? Yes, you can. They would use your login. They don't get a separate login, but you can certainly have somebody do that for you. And it's web-based, so whether you're on a Mac or a Windows machine, you're covered. You log in. It's just available on anybody who's got a web browser. So at this point, you've got to think about what you're going to do. You're going to make a decision next, okay? There are a couple of options you can go for. 3 simple choices. And the first one is very simple. You do nothing, everything stays the same, you get nothing. So whatever you're doing now, keep doing it. Nothing's going to change. Probably not the decision most of you want to make. The second decision is do it manually. I've shown you how to do it. I've shown you the simple process. It is actually a simple process to do it manually. It just takes a ton of time. If you have the time and you want to do it that way, you can do it absolutely no problem. Or you can pay somebody to do it for you. The third decision, which is the smart play, is to invest in a tool that does most of the hard work for you. So I want you to imagine having thousands of pages of content online by this time next year. Do you remember that little AdSense I showed you? In the last 2 months of the year, you could be seeing an 80% increase on whatever revenue you're generating. If you generate higher revenue because you've got more pages online, and then you get an 80% increase in the last 2 months of next year anyway, well, I don't think anybody's going to complain about that because it's more money, right? And that's what we're all aiming for. So you've got to take the opportunity while you can. What answer are you going to give right now? Are you in or you're out? Because this is time limited. After midnight, the date that you see on screen, you're too late to take advantage of the offer. So please don't miss out because this is time limited. And the real question is, how much money are you leaving on the table by not taking action now? Because every day that you delay is another day that you could have had content making you some money. 1 year from now, you could have thousands of pages making you more money than you're making today. But you've got to take action today. It's time limited. You've got to take some time to make your decision right now, because when you start now, you get the results later. If you wait till next year to start, you've lost that time when you could have been benefiting. Get your content online now as quickly as you can. Make it as high quality as you can, and then let the search engines do the job they are designed for, which is to find good quality content and serve it up to search engine visitors.
I wanted to clarify, to order Instant Article Wizard, just go to instantarticlewizard.com and you'll see the order options right there. So there's no link. You don't need any special link. It's instantarticlewizard.com. You'll see the options down there. You'll have the absolute best option is the last one is the Pro option, and that will give you tons more credit than the others.
So the Pro is clearly the best value because you're getting 2,500 credits, which for most people is going to last them a long, long time. You're not going to need to come back. You've also got the option of a 3-month split pay. And remember, the more content you can produce, the more likely you are to get subscribers, sales, and AdSense income. So it's worth thinking about doing the split pay for the Pro value. Premium, it gives you 500 credits, and if you can only afford the standard, that's fine. You get 250 credits, which is still a lot of research and articles. So please don't miss out, because after the time you're seeing on screen, it's too late, you missed out. You've got to make a decision now. It's time to make that decision and build your business. This is where you go to take advantage. I'm going to leave that on screen for a moment or two. We'd like to thank you for watching this webinar. And if you have other questions, then please let us know. You can contact us at the support that you see on screen at the bottom here, down at the bottom. And this is where you would go to get your copy of Instant Article Wizard 4.0. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time. I'm just going to leave that on screen for a few moments so that you can see the link. Please don't miss out. Decide to invest in your own business right now. Start publishing your content in multiple formats, in multiple places. Use content to get backlinks to your website to get ranked. You will generate more money if you put out content on a regular basis and use multiple types of content and do the things that the search engines are demanding. It's that simple. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you again next time. Bye now.